Hello, Somerset County, and welcome to this edition of the Scoop Podcast. My name is Chris Edwards, president of the Somerset County Business Partnership. Before we get to our program, we have three organizations who support the launch of this podcast. Those you're probably familiar with if you're a steady listener to our program. We have the County of Somerset, Unibank, and Techie Geek, who we'll hear from a little bit later. But I want to thank them so much for helping get our Somerset Business Hub up and launched over the past year. Today's podcast, we're throwing a little bit of a curveball today. Instead of being organizational focused, we're going to talk about a topic that's probably impactful for 99.9% of the businesses who are listening, and that's employee benefits. Today, I'm joined by Charles Bruder. Charles is an attorney with the law firm of Norris McLaughlin. Charles, thank you so much for joining the Scoop.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you for having me.
So before we get into employee benefits, which I feel like could be a 10-part series, as much as we've talked about them all over the chamber, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to the firm, and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, I'm a shareholder in the law firm of Norris McLaughlin. Been with the firm, I hate to say it, about 23 years now. Really kind of fell into employee benefits by chance. When I was in law school, took a couple of classes on employee benefits, really liked it. During my second year, actually, of law school, one of my professors pulled me aside and said, "Have you ever thought about becoming a tax attorney?" And I said, "No, why would anyone ever want to do that?" And she said, well, I was in her tax class, and she said, well, you really get it. And then before I graduated from law school, I took 12 classes in taxes with a focus on employee benefits, went from law school to Georgetown University Law Center, got my master's of laws in taxation, with a bit of a focus on employee benefits. Still didn't know where I was going at that point in time. Left law school, became a senior tax consultant at Ernst & Young. And at that point, Ernst & Young had a need for employee benefits folks. And so I started doing that. That led to me going to another law firm in New Jersey. They had an opening in the employee benefits ERISA area. I became a bit of an expert in that. And 23 years ago, Norris McLaughlin came calling, and here I am.
Time flies when you're having fun. So you remember hanging out at the old office in Norris. I remember when I first got to the chamber doing a lot of events there. A little bit different than that beautiful place you have now.
The place we have now is beautiful. 721 Route 202, 206 had a lot of character.
Yes.
And a lot of underutilized floor space.
Yep.
So definitely a move for the better.
No. Largest law firm in the county, been a partner with us on numerous events and topics, and you're definitely the perfect person to talk to today. The partnership, we kind of deal with employee benefits on a bunch of different angles, right? There's our health and wellness committee, right? We got that angle. We have an HR group, so we're looking at it from a couple of different perspectives. So we want to do like a 10,000-foot look at it today. And before we get to the employer side, through your experience from an employee side, what are employees looking for when they join a company, or as a company evolves when it comes to their benefits?
So it's kind of interesting, Chris. For years, employee benefits were viewed as basically ancillary to the employment relationship. If you go back 20, 30, 40 years, you think about our parents, for example. It was great. They had a retirement plan. They had health insurance coverage that provided for general coverage for the family. You worked hard. You got your 401k, or back in those days, your defined benefit pension. You retired. You moved on. In the last, particularly after COVID, employee benefits became a real focus for employees. And what we have found is that the current generation is really focused on their employee benefits. And by employee benefits, I don't mean the traditional benefits I just mentioned.
Right.
Health insurance is incredibly important. The COVID pandemic, 2020, 2021, really drew a focus with respect to, group health insurance. Employees became really focused on, wow, what does my insurance cover? What can I get out of my insurance? What's not covered, for example? I think it was really an eye-opener as far as employees were concerned. So group health insurance has become a big focus, if you will, for employees. But employees are looking for more than that now. They don't want the traditional 401k plan, although that's incredibly important to them. There is a renewed focus on retirement with employees. But now they're thinking about employee benefits as, what does my work schedule look
Right.
like? Can I work from home? Can I take care of my children? Can I balance taking care of my children with my responsibilities at work? What type of incentive am I receiving? Go back to what I just mentioned. Our parents, if they changed jobs twice, maybe 3 times in their lifetime, that was a lot.
Right.
You found your place to work.
Yep.
You stayed there forever. I'm going to retire here. I'm going to get my gold watch. I'm going to ride off into the sunset. Your average employee now is staying, what, 3, 5, 7 years with an employer? They're looking for more. They're looking for more money, obviously, because the cost of living is increasing. But they're also looking for enhanced benefits, as I mentioned, both on the health side and on the retirement side, but as well as that variable schedule. They're looking for bonuses. They're looking for equity. They're looking to be an owner, and they're looking for that benefit going forward. And so from an employee perspective, they're saying, what's next on the horizon? What can you provide to me, employer, that maybe some other employer can't provide? And if that other employer is providing something better, well, then maybe I'm not as tied to you as perhaps my parents would have been.
Yeah, no, it's that definitely hits close to home. I remember my grandfather telling me, you're always looking for that next job, even if you're completely happy. And I laugh because he did 45 years with Hess up in Bayonne. So I was like, you never looked.
Right.
So it's just how the generations changed. Now, on the face, I look at it and I go, are small businesses at a disadvantage in this new post-COVID world of employee benefits because maybe they don't have the flexibility or just the cash to invest in EAPs? Or is it maybe because we're in a flexible world where maybe employees are looking for customizable benefits, or maybe depending on where they are in life, different benefits? Does it give a small business an opportunity that maybe large companies aren't agile enough to? So what do you think? Do you think this kind of new world environment is an opportunity for small business, or do you think it puts them a little bit more at a competitive disadvantage?
It cuts both ways. There's no question about it. Look, the large corporations, your large national, your large regional, your large international corporations, they have a lot of money. They typically can provide incredible benefits. They have the flexibility to provide what I would call great standard benefits. So, the enhanced 401k plan and the good health insurance. But, Chris, you probably know. Tell me the last national company you saw that pays 100% of group health insurance.
May not. Very long time,
Right.
Maybe ever in my time here.
Right. I mean, the large companies can't afford to
Yeah,
do it. I mean, you're talking sometimes tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees. They can't afford to provide those benefits. Think about your small employer, though. Your small employer may say, well, my benefits, for example, my health benefits are mandated here in the state of New Jersey. If you're a small employer, you're going to go out, you're going to get a fully insured health insurance policy. It's going to be the same regardless of where you go. The differentiator is, as a small employer, I have 5, 7, 12 employees. Maybe I can afford to pay for their health insurance across the board. That's a really powerful incentive
Absolutely.
to keep someone there, as opposed to them saying, I'm going to go work for XYZ Corporation and have a $2,500 deductible and have to come out of pocket $3,000 or $4,000 a year. Particularly if you're talking about younger employees who are thinking about starting a family. That health insurance can be really beneficial to them and really important. The flexible schedule. You go work for XYZ Corporation, you're going to get an employee handbook that's a couple of inches thick. Here's all of our policies. Here's everything we can do. As a smaller employer, you can be nimble. You can say, hey, Chris, you know what? You don't need to be in the office today. You can go work from home. It's a beautiful day as I look out the window. Go sit on your deck with your laptop and work.
Don't give my team any ideas here.
I mean, the point is that as a small employer, you have the ability to customize your benefits. Now, you can't do that across the board. You get to a certain level. We've got the Affordable Care Act to deal with. We've got New Jersey requirements to deal with. We've got discrimination testing for 401k plans, all that kind of good stuff. And so when you get to the middle of that transition period, if you will, it can be a little difficult. But as a smaller employer, you have an opportunity to give a lot of benefits to your employees and a lot of different benefits that are customizable to your team, to the team that you want to incentivize.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know that they don't have. If you look at a teacher, and my wife's a teacher, so I know that firsthand of, there's no flexibility. There's a lot of stress, but there's really good benefits. And you start when you have two little kids, or you're building a family. Like there's times that's way more valuable than a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 increase in salary. And you have to, unfortunately, we certainly live in a world where you have to kind of game all that stuff out. And I think there's an opportunity for businesses that you can have. I always say we're entering a world of customization if we're not already there, right? Where it used to be, we have 30 employees and we all treat them the same. And I look at some of these benefits that are coming into play now, and I say that this is an opportunity for the management side of the business to keep good talent, incentivize more talent to come into the organization by doing things like you said, like having a flex schedule or having more holidays or unlimited vacation time that otherwise, on a level playing field, they wouldn't be able to play with other competition.
I'm glad you mentioned unlimited PTO because that's a really powerful potential employee benefit. And for years, again, think about it. When our parents were working for their big corporations, unlimited PTO,
Insane.
Oh, no,
Yep.
that's ridiculous. People
Yep.
are going to take advantage of it. They're never going to show up at work. We can't possibly do that. I can't tell you the number of employers, primarily smaller employers, but certainly some significant sized ones that say, Chris, you're a wonderful employee. Our policy is you take unlimited PTO.
Yep.
If you're getting your work done and you're productive and you're a member of this team, and we show you, by the way, that you can work independently and we trust you that you're going to take advantage of this, sure, there might be a little bit of a learning curve. But to have the ability to say, I'm going to take 2 weeks off and I'm going to go to Italy, but don't worry, boss, I'm taking my laptop and I'll be working and be available the whole time. Out of the COVID pandemic, if there's one thing we learned on the employee benefits side, it is you don't need to be chained to an office any longer. You can work globally and still be productive. And we proved it. We had no choice but to prove it. And thankfully, employers, and again, a lot of smaller employers have taken that concept and they've implemented it to the benefit of their employees.
Yeah. I look at it, and we're in such a tight job market that there are so many companies that they're either operating with one or two holes on staff, or they've learned, if it's a company of 10, and that ninth position is always, open, they're learning, okay, we've learned to spread the work out amongst the 8 staff members, right? So you're creating high burnout, and that's one of the real opportunities is, hey, you're doing a great job. We could see that you're burnout. You got a lot of stuff going on. Take a few days. Take a week. That's your point. That never. My parents they had a book vacation 50 weeks in advance.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, we booked our vacation 2 years from now. We're going to Disney World. And it's just such a different environment where you could just say, hey, it was a long week. I'm burnout Friday. I'm working till noon and I'm taking the rest of the day. And there's no, there's that's the norm, right?
Exactly.
That really feels
agree.
like, yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good segue into just, are there other, when you talk with your clients in the world of employee benefits, are there any other misconceptions out there about employee benefits that our audience, do you think would want to learn a little bit more about?
Well, I think there are 2 categories of that, Chris. And one is the compliance side. So we've talked about flexibility. We've talked about treating employees differently. We still have that regime, that structure, if you will, under ERISA, under the Internal Revenue Code,
Right.
that says there's certain things you can't do. Like, you have to kind of treat all your employees the same for 401k plan purposes. You can't pick or choose who you're going to give monies to under
Right.
your 401k plan. The Affordable Care Act, for example, and I know a lot of the audience that's listening probably are small employers, so they don't have to comply with a lot of the significant provisions of the Affordable Care Act. But when you get into those and some of the state mandates, you have to provide coverage to certain individuals. You have to provide certain benefits. And so you have to work within that structure. A lot of employers want to be or try to be incredibly focused on individualized benefits, and sometimes you can't do that. So there is this misconception of, hey, I can kind of do whatever I want, and the answer,
Right.
as a small employer, the answer is no, not always.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that I think, though, that the misconception from the employer's perspective is partly based upon what I just said, which is, okay, we have to treat everybody the same way. And no, there's plenty of flexibility available to you. I mean, for example, one of the things that we've been doing a lot is deferred compensation work. So, rather than, hey, Chris, you're doing a great job here. As an employer, I want to keep you here. So what do I say? I give you an opportunity to earn a significant amount of additional income, incentive compensation on a going forward basis. But I want you to work for me for the next 2 or 3 years, and that's how you're going to get that incentive compensation. Instead of paying you a bonus annually, I'm going to pay you one over, let's say a
Right.
3-year period. A lot of employers think that they can pretty much do whatever they want there, and in some respects they can. Still needs to be compliant with the Internal Revenue Code, but there's a lot of flexibility there. So I think that the misconception is I got to treat everybody the same way. I mean, for example, I can give you a deferred compensation arrangement. I can give one differently to everyone else in this room, and that's completely okay. So I think the misconception is I don't have the flexibility that I have. There's a lot of flexibility out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I think we move so fast, right? If you talk about HR management, things are moving so fast around them that the safest place is always what we've done in the past. And in a post-COVID world, when things are moving so quickly, I think that's where companies kind of fall out of step, right? Is that they're working on a 2019 operation parameters, and we're heading into a new world. Is there anything kind of that you see on the maybe coming down the pipeline in the world of employee benefits, EAPs, that the companies should at least have their radar up for?
I think 2 things. One, the employee benefits that deal with the difficulties that some employees are having. I mentioned earlier the COVID pandemic and the shutdown that we have. In addition to providing for an opportunity to see how folks could work independently and how they could work remotely, one of the things that I think it shined a light on, real importantly, are those employee assistance programs that you mentioned. So many folks came out of the COVID pandemic struggling with loneliness, struggling with substance abuse, for example, those kinds of things that the EAP programs have become really important. And I don't want to say they weren't important prior to 2020, but they were kind of a throw-in. Oh, yeah, we have this benefit here, and if you have a problem, give these folks a call. Those benefits have become very proactive, and I think there's been a focus, rightly so and thankfully so, to say to employees, hey, listen, we understand that you're an individual, you're a person, and you have difficulties outside of the workplace. Think again, back to our parents. If they had a problem outside work, it was, well, go deal with it on your own.
Right, yes.
Deal with your family issues. Don't bring them into the
Yep.
office or the plant or whatever we have
Got to be tough.
be.
No
Right.
days off.
Right,
Nope.
exactly. Whereas now, the focus has been, hey, listen, there are these programs out there, and you can utilize them to help you. And by the way, as an employer, we care about you. We want you to succeed. We understand that you have difficulties outside of the workplace. Take advantage of those benefits. I think those are really important. The other thing, and it's not necessarily an employee benefit, but one of the things we're seeing, and seeing at Norris McLaughlin, we just had a equity shareholders meeting the other day, and we talked about this, is the impact that AI is having on the workplace. And so what we're seeing is more and more employers, including Norris McLaughlin, saying, employees, we want you to be trained in this. We want you to embrace it. We understand that this is an incredibly fast-moving, ever-changing environment, but it's going to be a sea change for everything that is done, or almost every industry, whether you're a small employer or you're a large employer. And so allowing employees the opportunity to get that education, to learn AI, to be more computer proficient, to really embrace it and bring it to the workplace.
Yep.
Hey, boss, guess what? I saw this article on this incredible, Chat GPT, for example, program. This could save us a lot of money, or this could make us more efficient. You're finding employers saying, yes, we want you to bring this to the table. We want you to really be a partner in this because, let's face it, a lot of small employers are owned by folks like our age, and you see younger people who know a heck of a lot more about this than we do.
Absolutely, and we've been doing an AI boot camp every few months here in the partnership. We got the third one coming up this summer, and it's unbelievable how many people are interested. We've sold out the first two. And it's what we try to incorporate is like, think of it like college, like a 101, 201, 301 level course because, and unfortunately, a lot of people are doing it into the introduction, but we try to show them is like, these are where some of these companies are going who've already incorporated into their business. And, what we've tried to tell people is it's not going to be, at least at the beginning, I think, and this is just an assumption on my end, is that it's not going to be that AI takes, jobs. It's that it'll be the companies that do it versus the companies that don't, who will be the winners and losers. And for small businesses, we look at the partnership. Incorporating AI into your day-to-day is just eliminating some of that wasted time. Sitting at your desk, trying to get an email out or trying to put a flyer together, and you're just stuck. And you just need to ask a question, or you need to generate an image, and it's unbelievable what's available out there. And to your point, I do think that's going to have more consequence on a business, every part of it, not just the productivity, but when you get into employee benefits, AI is going to be a game changer in all aspects.
Oh, I mean, think about it. We went through, in some respects, at least I went through the internet transition. The internet was nothing, and then suddenly there was the World Wide Web, and people were saying, well, websites, that's not going to be around too long, or QR codes, they're not going to be around too long. I mean, even at Norris McLaughlin, what we start to see is that using programs like ChatGPT, using AI, to just get you started. I need to write an article on blank, whatever the topic happens to be, or I need to do a report on blank as an employee for my employer, to be able to go to those programs and have a starting point and say, oh, right, that's a great place to start, and not use it to replace what you're doing, but to use it from a creative perspective. Oh, incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's a game changer. It's amazing how many podcasts we've done on different topics, and it always comes back to AI, and I think that just shows how much of a game changer it is. So I'm going to get you out on two questions that we ask all of our guests as we tie things back into Somerset County.
Fire away.
Do you have a favorite place to eat in the county? And one of the beauties of Norris is you can walk right across the street. You got tons of options there, but there's plenty of other places around the county too.
There are a lot of amazing restaurants in the county, a lot of places to hang out. I'll call out one of my favorites. It's right here, as a matter of fact, and that's Village Brewing. I just love the place, love the atmosphere. Great food, great beer. We've done a number of events there. A lot of great places. I'm going to put Village at the top of the list.
Hopefully you checked out their new downstairs. They just opened up.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
great room.
Game changer for meeting space here in the county
Definitely.
too. And last question, do you have a favorite recreational activity in Somerset County?
I don't get to do it enough, and I'm not great at it. I'm going to say that up front. But there's so much good golf around here.
Yeah.
And just some beautiful courses. I know that you folks had a golf outing, right? Or have one coming up?
Yeah, New Jersey National Golf Course has been our host the last number of years, and one of the hardest parts in picking a golf course is you have too many options.
Agreed.
It's an unbelievable golf county, and I'm like you. I actually got to a point where I used to, do you golf? Yeah, I golf sometimes. I said that every year. This year, I'm kind of like, do you golf? I'm like, no. Like, I got clubs in the garage, and I need to, before my golf outing, I need to get out there and get to the driving range a few times. But I can't call myself a golfer if I'm getting out once or twice a year. I am a hacker.
But see, that's the great thing about Somerset County. We have such great courses.
Yeah.
And when you go out to these fundraising events or these networking events, nobody expects you to play well, Chris.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fabulous. I hesitate to say it because I kind of like the fact that there's so many hidden gems here in the county.
Oh.
But wonderful, wonderful courses.
Yeah, yeah. By the time this podcast gets out, it'll be over. But we're preparing for the World Series of Birding, which, believe it or not, takes place up in the New Jersey Audubon, up in Burnsville.
Yeah.
So there's things like that go on that people just don't know. So
outstanding.
So Charles, thank you so much. I want to thank Techie Geek for sponsoring the podcast. They're your IT superheroes. They specialize in keeping businesses connected, secure, and thriving. From advanced cybersecurity to seamless cloud solutions, Techie Geek has you covered. Again, one of the companies that did AI with us. So check them out at techiegeek.com. Thank you so much, Somerset County, for joining the podcast, and we'll talk again soon.